Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning in to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. I am Brett Siegel, subbing in for the great Kevin Jackson while he's out into the world, triggering liberals, triggering leftists with his blackness and his views on race. They hate him for that. They hate Kevin Jackson because he always calls them out on their BS. And I get a little bit of a residual credibility because I work for the guy. Oftentimes I'll hear from a liberal, "You Nazi racist bigot." And my eyes just roll into the back of my head because, I mean, come on. A black man employs me. A black man is my boss. How does that figure into your racist, white supremacist world? Is it my white privilege that I get to work for a black man? See, I don't see Kevin Jackson as a black man. I see him as a man. I see him as a human being. I see him as an American. I see him as a patriot. I see him as a conservative. What matters to me is his ideology. DeRay McKesson, one of the proponents of Black Lives Matter, a race-baiting punk, a race-baiting intellectual thug. I mean, that he's not out on the street personally doing stuff. Actually, he did get arrested one time, didn't he? Or a couple times. But intellectually speaking, DeRay McKesson is a thug, and you couldn't pay me enough money to work for him. Am I a racist? Anyway, I'm Brett Siegel, the Disgruntled Millennial. You can get me at Shaq General on Twitter. That's at Shaq General. If you want to get me on Facebook, I've got several pages, the Disgruntled Millennial. You can pretty much check me out anywhere. I've got a podcast on iTunes. Again, if you need to send me hate mail, you can send it to Shaq General, but I always broadcast to you live from my safe space, so no matter what you send to me on Twitter, I'm always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. Now, one of the things that you probably don't know about me, I used to be a pretty great debater in high school. It was one of those things where I was really, really proud to be one of the nerds. It's the only super duper nerdy organization in school where everyone who is in there has no idea how nerdy they are. They all think they're the coolest thing. They think they're the bee's knees, the debaters. They think they're the best thing since sliced bread. Now, what I'm talking about is policy debate. Now, there's a lot of other forms of debate, like extemporaneous debate, which is basically just acting class. You just go on and you perform a monologue. But there are two different types of debate in high school and college where people actually discuss policy. People actually discuss ethics. That's team debate or policy debate, and Lincoln Douglas debate, where they debate ethics and ethical questions and stuff like that. Now, one of the things that I never really noticed, because I was 14 years old. Okay, 14 years old, just out of middle school, didn't really know what side of the fence I was on, but I will give you a hint. I went to a public school. I was cloistered in a public school system where it was pretty much one-sided. But it was the 90s, so, it wasn't as heated as things are today. It wasn't as noticeable. But there's one place where you can really, really notice, if you were to hone in, if you were to really look inside of the public school system. Even back then, there was one place where leftist philosophy and leftist brainwashing and propaganda was basically full force at work, trying to instill the most intelligent minds in the school, which were the debaters, at least self-described most intelligent minds in the school. We usually tended towards debate. And the public school system, the national debate organization that basically decides what everybody debates on, they were full force into this propaganda, trying to basically create liberal Democrat elites of the future, starting at 14 years old. Now, the way we would debate, of course, is you would have an affirmative case and then you would have a negative case, and you would debate a resolution. A resolution is a statement of, it's a statement of policy. Say, for example, the United States should substantially change its foreign policy towards China. Okay. And then you could have a whole bunch of, affirmative cases would vary. So you might have one affirmative case that says we should embargo. We should create an embargo. We should sanction China. We should sanction China's one-child policy. We should sanction China on human rights. All these different policies. And then the affirmative case, the affirmative team would debate the resolution, which was that we should change our policy toward China in a certain way, and the negative team the opposing team would debate why we shouldn't do that. Now, if you don't think that there is leftist propaganda going on in your public school system, let's say your kid is a part of the debate team, and you are a conservative family, what do you think it is that they're being taught? Now, I did some research, and every single one of these resolutions, these debate resolutions, are completely loaded with leftist propaganda. They beg so many questions that it almost goes against rational debate practices just to even debate these questions in the first place, because they're loaded with so much leftist propaganda. And it's really unfortunate, because people like Socrates and Aristotle would be really sad to see what our educational system has digressed to. And this is our public school system trying to brainwash the smartest of the smart, the smartest students that enter into the school. This is them trying to brainwash them. Now, I went and did some research on the full list of resolutions, because we've been debating this stuff since 1928. We've been doing these policy debates in school and college since 1928. And listen to some of these resolutions. The United States should adopt a unicameral system of legislation, right? That's the idea, that we should basically make the government a lot more centralized, that we should concentrate more power. With one House of Congress. I mean, there's almost 100 of these. Resolved. The United Nations should be revised into a federal world government. Globalism. That was 1949. There were pushes by liberal Democrats for globalism, trying to push it on our students, trying to raise our high school students to believe in globalism. In 1978, resolved that the federal government should establish a comprehensive program to regulate the healthcare system in the United States. They're already talking about universal healthcare. They're trying to propagandize our kids to believe in universal healthcare. That was 1978. Where are those high school kids now who were in high school in 1978? Do the math. They are your leaders. They are your congressmen. They are your future Supreme Court justices. 1982, resolved that the federal government should establish a minimum educational standards for elementary and secondary schools in the United States. Common Core. 1982, debaters in high school were debating Common Core. And now, high school students from 1982, what are they doing now? If you were in high school in 1982, that was about 34 years ago. And if you were in high school then, that means you're probably about 45, 50. What do you think these thought leaders are doing now? Why is it that just now we've had Common Core? It's because Common Core was brainwashed into these people back in the 80s, and they just grew up and put them and fit into the place that the government wanted them to be in. Our thought leaders, our congressmen, the people who tell us what to do, yeah. Nothing more than social experiments gone awry. Nothing more than community organizing. Nothing more than the chickens coming home to roost. Now, as we approach the years that I was actually debating, because I did debate a couple of these resolutions, they do it by year. In 1994, coming closer to the more recent past, 1994 resolved that the federal government should guarantee comprehensive health insurance to all United States citizens. Who was president at the time? Bill Clinton was president at that time. Now, when I landed up in high school, it just so happened to be in 1998. And the 1998 debate resolution for the national debate resolution that all high school students and college students who are into debate will be debating across the United States. This is the resolution in 1998. Resolved that the federal government should establish a policy to substantially increase renewable energy use in the United States. Environmentalism. Yet again, liberal Democrats, government shoving an agenda down the throats of 14-year-old kids who are bright and smart and interested in social change and politics and government and all that stuff. Now, environmentalism was shoved down my throat when I was a freshman in high school. And, you know, a lot of the affirmative cases for this resolution, because it deals with increasing the use of renewable energy in the United States. What do you think most people did? They would have affirmative cases revolving around photovoltaic cells, ethanol, wind, water, earth, power, heart. Fire, heart, sorry, not power. But you get the picture. A lot of people probably said, oh, what we need to do to substantially increase renewable energy use in the United States is to create wind turbines. And then we would debate the wind turbines. Even at that young age of 14, I was attracted to two losing affirmative cases, and you'll see why. You'll see why even as a young, impressionable lad, I always leaned towards conservatism, or should I say away from leftism.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.